When you buy products for your baby, you expect them to meet the highest quality and safety standards. After all, they are made for the most vulnerable. When Michelle and Lee Gates bought a package of Pampers for their little Gabriella, they were in for a horrible surprise. Their baby wouldn't stop crying, and when Michelle changed her diaper, she made a horrible discovery. Gabriella Gates was born prematurely, and although she is now 5 months old, she is still very small. This precious little girl is the first child of Michelle and Lee Gates, proud British parents who are thrilled with their baby. All parents are, of course, but babies born prematurely are very special. Being born early means they have not yet had a chance to develop fully in the womb, and their immune system is often still low. They need to be treated with the utmost care and attention. Michelle and Lee were doing just that. While out shopping at her local store, Michelle picked up 2 jumbo packs of Pampers diapers as they were running low. You'd be surprised how many diapers a normal baby goes through, and sometimes it's an effort to keep up. But to Michelle's horror, these diapers that she thought would be safe for her little one turned out to be the reason for a complete nightmare. Ever since the new diaper packs were started, Gabriella was very fussy and cried a lot. It wasn't like her. She was normally a happy baby, and Michelle and Lee were worried. What could be wrong with their little girl? At first, they didn't connect diapers, because who would? Maybe she was teething. Teething can be very painful for a baby. Sometimes you probably don't remember, but ask your parents about it. I'm sure you cried too, and it's not something that has an immediate solution except patience and proper care. Every baby just has to go through it. But one morning, while changing Gabriella's diaper, she noticed something strange. As she was changing the diaper, her hand brushed against something sharp on the inside of the diaper. The soft part that is always against the child's most intimate parts. The cloth was not only sharp, but also much darker than the soft white cloth that surrounded it. She looked closer and discovered to her horror that what was in her daughter's diaper was a piece of metal. The piece had edges and was firmly embedded in the core of the diaper. How could it have ended up there? It was clear that it had come with the diaper. Michelle knew right away why her baby had been so cranky lately, and upon examining her bottom, she did indeed see a bunch of red, painful scratches. The piece of metal had hurt her little one, and that's why she was so upset. But since she had been crying so much that week, it couldn't just be this diaper, Michelle thought. So she called her husband Lee, and together they went through the whole package of Pampers. There were indeed a bunch of other diapers that also had pieces of metal and traces of rust on them, exactly in the soft, fluffy pulp part that is supposed to absorb all liquids. It's supposed to be the softest part of the diaper, and metal pieces obviously have no place there, as Gabriella's father Lee said. The metal was right in the center of the diaper, inside the cotton, in a part near her intimate area. It's just horrible. The torn edges of the metal were the scariest part, as they had been rubbing against the girl's bottom and had clearly left marks and scratches. Although it was still a mystery to them exactly how the metal had ended up in the diapers, they knew they had to know if their daughter was okay. The concerned parents took her to the emergency room of their local hospital to be seen by a doctor. They brought some of the diapers with them so they could show what had happened, and the doctor was as shocked as they were to see the pieces. How had they gotten there? All the pieces appeared to be in the same place as the diapers, as if the cog in a wheel had deposited them by some flaw in the manufacturing process. The diapers were clearly contaminated in some way. They closely examined Gabriella's bottom, and to her parents' relief, there was no piece of metal embedded in her skin. However, she had a fair amount of scratches and cuts, and as she was a premature baby, it was feared that she might have developed sepsis. The dirty metal could have infected her blood, and that would be a very serious problem for such a small baby. Luckily, Gabriella dodged that bullet, and after treatment of her wounds, she was able to return home to her parents. As soon as she stopped wearing the bad diapers, there was an immediate difference in her mood. She was back to being the same happy little girl with soft diapers around her bottom, of a completely different brand, of course. But once home, Michelle and Lee became increasingly indignant. To think that they had let their daughter wear diapers from that package for a week, and the obvious pain she had been in. How many other pieces of metal had been lost? They had to do something, and although they felt blissful that their daughter was fine and nothing had happened to her, they couldn't leave it at that. The first thing they did was to contact Procter & Gamble to inform them of the incident. Lee explains to the news, "We don't want compensation, we want to know what happened and for someone to investigate transparently, determine the cause and make sure that no other babies have been affected. Next time they may not be so lucky." The company replied to them, apologizing for the unfortunate events and mentioning that they have launched a thorough investigation. They were able to confirm that the pieces Michelle and Lee found in their daughter's Pampers were indeed pieces of metal that had come out of the machine that produces them. The machine had just been stopped for routine maintenance, where a part had been replaced. The diapers in the package they had purchased were the first to come off the line right after the replacement. It was an unfortunate coincidence that the diapers would end up in the stores. They said they had checked all the other products coming off the line in those first few minutes after the machine was restarted, but had not found any other compromised diapers. Michelle could not believe that the company had not recalled the entire batch, or at least posted an official warning about the risk of this batch on their website. How could they know for sure that there were no other diapers affected? And yet they say on their website and in other media that safety is their top priority. They supposedly perform thousands of quality checks on each production line, and also work with families around the world who approve their products and provide real-time feedback. Well, Michelle didn't get the feeling that they had taken her comments very seriously. They were also surprised that the multinational offered nothing in compensation for the mishap, not even a £20 refund for the packs of diapers. True, they were offered a factory tour and a donation to a charity of their choice, but Lee and Michelle weren't interested. Then they went to Asta, the store where they had bought the Pampers in question. It turns out that just a month earlier, another mother had even gone to complain because she had found a whole razor blade in one of the diapers she had purchased there. A razor blade! But again, beyond an apology, this company took no action to prevent this from happening again. So, to keep spreading the word, Michelle and Lee posted their experience on Reddit and Facebook, including photos of the diapers and their little girl. Other people were just as shocked as they were, especially other parents who read it. The posts went viral and were shared many times. Of course, this generated a lot of noise around the incident, and the media contacted Procter & Gamble for a statement. They can ignore one group of parents, but not the whole media circus and their audience. The company stated that they were still investigating the matter and could not comment, but have since asked Michelle to send them the remainder of the diaper package so they can investigate further. They will return to make a statement as soon as the investigation has concluded. The main motive of Gabriella's parents was to reach out to as many parents as possible. They wanted to warn them not to blindly trust the products they buy and to check the diapers they put on their children. They also wanted further investigation into how this could have happened. Apparently, this is not an isolated incident and means that current factory safety procedures are not strict enough. The attention the incident received on social media and the outrage of other parents was a relief for Michelle and Lee, but it also had a downside, as not everyone who saw the messages was equally sympathetic. Some even accused the parents of putting the metal pieces in the diapers themselves, just to get compensation from Procter & Gamble. Just the thought, but most people were concerned about little Gabriella, and were glad she was okay, and some even said they had found similar pieces in the diapers they had purchased. However, it took a second look to find them, and they appreciated the warning. I guess the message here is not to blindly trust the big companies. Have you ever had a bad experience with an item you bought in a store? What did you do about it? Tell us about it in the comments. See you soon in a new video.